Hello and welcome to the Wednesday check-in here on Landy's Crypto Corner. Today is November 20th, 2024, and we are looking at Bitcoin. As always, we're going to start out with the daily chart as Bitcoin has hit one of our upside targets, and we have a pretty interesting setup here for possible continuation up to the $100,000 area if this particular level can be overcome in terms of an area of resistance and profit taking right now. Bitcoin's living above the upper first standard deviation. Trend is up, so we have this nice uptrend. There is some local support and resistance areas on lower term timeframes to be aware of. We will actually get into that today. But more importantly, Bitcoin living above its key volatility level here. I was just in a Spaces event where we all found out that we're Coles, and but myself and another wonderful person, Nat. She's her and I are key vibe leaders, so we're KVLs. But in this case, Bitcoin closing above the upper first standard deviation here at around 92,200. From a volatility standpoint, does preserve the opportunity to go up and hit that upper second as long as Bitcoin is closing above the upper first. The upper second is fair game. And I had mentioned this, that after trending outside of the upper second and upper third, hitting the 100 percentile for volatility, we will see kind of a little bit of lower term time frame reaccumulation. In this case, it's sideways and up. And as long as Bitcoin is above the upper first and even the basis band here, the upper second is a good candidate to get tagged again before a consolidation or a wider consolidation starts to show itself. And in this case, it is at that key level overhead at just over $100,000, coming in at 101,450. And Bitcoin did hit our 1618 Fibonacci level. This was an extension off of this accumulation structure here. And Bitcoin has now tagged the 1.618. And guess where the next level is? It's the 1786 right here by the upper second, just above $100,000. Coming in at that 101 to 102 area, as the 1786 is around 101,800, and the current upper second is basically in confluence. If Bitcoin were to start rising, we're going to see the upper second stretch out ever so slightly, and that's essentially going to line up with that 1786. Of course, we also have the upper third standard deviation coming in at the 2-spot extension up here. So my approach is I'm looking at the 1618 as a key area around $95,000 to $96,000, and then above there I would watch $98,000 to $100,000, and then possibly above if we start seeing Bitcoin trade above $100,000 to the 1786. I would take it, I would take it a little bit at a time on some of the lower term timeframes. If we did see price head up here, above $100,000. Probably looking at like 100 to 102. Then we've got 105 to 106 around the 1888. And then above there, 110 to 112 by the upper third. Now, it's not typical that Bitcoin will rip straight back through expanded bands like this. But because Bitcoin has gone into essentially a consolidation, as noted by BBWP, kind of cooling down while it's above the upper first, we can get this kind of consolidation where Bitcoin just kind of walks its way up that upper first and continues to spike into the upper second. And we do have, some precedent for that. And that is where we saw, back here off of the January, the early January time period where Bitcoin kind of was in a compression, spiked the upside during the ETF, and just prior to the ETF launch day and after, we saw the spike high come in, and then it dumped off and deviated from the bottom side of the range, but hit this consolidation over here, and then went right back up into range here, at least the tighter range, and got some further compression to re-expansion. You see how it just kind of went straight up through the upper second standard deviation. It wasn't quite as powerful as even what we're seeing now, where Bitcoin was trending outside of the upper second and third. It got its mean reversion back to the upper first and then kept going sideways. And the basis band kind of caught up to price, and then it re-expanded right up through the bands and then used that upper first to kind of march up to that high that was put in at 73,835, which was the prior all-time high. And in this case, we could see something like that. What I do like to see is that the basis band is well above the one spot extension or the previous all-time high, where now the lower first is. So the lower first standard deviation of the Bollinger Bands being above the prior all-time high, or the one spot Fibonacci, which is the high of this consolidation. Very, very good. And having the basis band above the 1272, also very, very good at around 82.5. Again, if we were to see the upper first lost here at around that 92,200, then I would look for, price to come right back down. And I would pay attention to this swing low structure at around 88,700 to around the 1414, and even down to $85,000, kind of the entire structure here. So the 1414 is at around 87.5. Anywhere below there, I'd be looking at around 85. And then if we did see that area dropped, that's when we're looking back to 82.5, possibly back down to around $80,000 here by this next fib level down below it. But, setup is great. I love sideways and up consolidation, this nice march up. There is a higher low here. So it is ever so slight. We saw, swing high to swing low on the bear candle here. And then we did not get a high. It was technically not really a high. It did solidify this swing high up here to swing low that went in and put in a closing low as we started to close higher. So there is a higher low close now. The 88,700 low is one to watch, but anywhere below there, and I'd be looking for this local range here. We'll check this on lower term timeframes as well, so I can kind of show you the 4-hour setup for support and resistance. Now, I did do a Learn TA with Landy video earlier today with Peace Love Music from Deorganized, and that video had really good attendance for the live stream. It is recorded and posted as well on X and on the Deorganized newly created YouTube channel. So you're welcome to follow me on X, and of course just scroll down a bit here on the timeline and you'll be able to watch that back. And for those that were there earlier today, you can kind of see what you'll see what I'm talking about when we move down to the 4-hour in terms of evaluating that support and resistance for that 4-hour time frame. Let's go ahead and check on volatility in the cool down phase. Could we see this just arch right back up and tag the top side here for volatility? Absolutely. What would that look like? That would look like Bitcoin going right back to the upper second. And then possibly even closing above it. And that's around that $100,000 region to 101,500 by the upper second here and the 1786. Let's go ahead and take a look at momentum. And that is going to be up on the daily, $93,000 to keep momentum pointed to the upside here. Nice trend line regression, although this is it's getting to the point where we might see either a more long form consolidation. Maybe we get one more spike up towards the $100,000 region, and then maybe a bit of a even possibly front run of it, in the $98,000 to $100,000 range. But point being is we might see another short form consolidation, a high put in, and then we kind of see price go a little bit sideways, maybe get some nice bullish divergences on RSI and all that good stuff. Again, not trying to predict, just things to watch for here. I don't make predictions. We just look for the areas of interest and the confluent areas of our analysis that kind of line up with each other. And I would be aware of, this local consolidation with any kind of a high that's put in, where the RSI is lower. A lot of indicators aren't going to show the actual bearish divergence, but we'd be looking for like in trend bearish divergence to start forming. First, second drives typically just corrective. Third drives is typically where we see possible trend reversals in play, but we're nowhere near that right now. So up and to the right until proven otherwise for the daily, at least here, and especially making a new all-time high right at that 1618. We'll see how the rest of this week plays out. Now, I did want to call back to one thing because we have that fib level just overhead. Again, this is going to be a mess for just a second. I want to do the bear market fib and pull this up with the daily here and just show you that we have kind of this overlap right above the $95,000 region where this upper second standard deviation is. The bigger pull from the bear market, the 1272 is just overhead. And, we're seeing that for the current fib level from the local pull, the 1786 at 101, almost $102,000, the 1272 from the bear market fib pull and extension is right there at 103. And it looks pretty good right now for that to be fair game. And on pullbacks, you can see that the 1414 and the 1.168 from the bear market fib pull is in an interesting area right around where we saw this this lower term time frame reaccumulation or accumulation structure or consolidation structure, if you will. And very, very interesting. I do like the way things are lining up with some of the extensions, especially as price gets deeper. I think I think we're likely going to see psychological resistances, overhead profit taking, stuff like that, hedging going on in this region, mid 90s to $100,000, maybe slightly above. But after that area is cleared on closes, especially on longer term timeframes, as I've discussed at length, for like the monthly, man, price can absolutely rip. So just I'm saying can, and we need to see conditions being met, but we're going to be talking more about that longer term stuff as the rest of this month progresses into the last month of the year, being December, of course. Now, let's go ahead to the 4 hour, and I want to point out a few key things here. So on the 4 hour here, we have this nice consolidation. We have compression to re-expansion to the upside. Looks pretty good. Now, what we want to be aware of is the swing structure. So we had some consolidation here, and then we had the high that was kind of keeping price in check here. So, if we just go ahead and mark the areas of interest here. So on the top side there and on the bottom side here. And these are going to kind of be the zones. While the whole area is technically going to be, support now that considered support now that price is trading above it. What we want to make sure is that we pay close attention to any topside retests, and you can even call out some of the structure inside of the zones here if you like on your own chart. But for right now, we're just going to keep this fairly straightforward with just the accumulation here. So you can see Bitcoin kind of went sideways after the nice big expansion and cooled down in this range here, and then continued with its uptrend here after a little bit of sideways chop. Looks really, really good. I like these setups. I will say that, we probably are, in terms of time frame, we're probably looking for at minimum like a daily high to really be in. Price can rally for an extended period of time, but we're probably looking for like at minimum like a daily high to be put in fairly soon. Now I say that and we still need to see it present itself, but this looks really good. We have the 92 750 to 93.5 here is an area that has just been tested on the 4 hour after breaking out above and making the new highs. And I would be very, very cognizant of any kind of retests of this area that start to fail, and then just look left to this last higher low. This is going to be 91.5, and that's going to be, an area to pay attention to. There is some, obviously there's going to be some structure over here off of this high, and this high over here as well on a close, especially, which is kind of what was tagged on this higher low structure. And it looks good. I don't hate what's going on here. Bitcoin has some good opportunity. Now, if things did start to retrace back down into this shorter term time frame range, just be aware of that 86,700 to this $85,000. That's really, what we have to look out for. If this range was to start to fall apart on the lower end of 85, then we start looking, $82.5 to $80,000, and then we'll go from there. But looks really good. So don't hate what's going on here. I actually love it. And in fact, if you want, you can pull shorter term time frame fibs from this particular move. I would pull, maybe this high to this high. You could do the high to kind of the lower high structure here if you like, and you're going to get different numbers like 95,500 around the upper second for this one. And more importantly, you're going to get for this whole range, kind of a range pull. I have the 1.168 that got tagged there at $95,000, which is also by the upper second. Above there, there's $96,000. So 95 to 96. I start looking up to around where this 1414 is, 97, 98, and then 98 to 100K or so by the 1618 and the 1786. So, will things play out exactly like that? No. Not necessarily, but things have been pretty on track so far from what we've been looking at. So we'll stick with what works, right? All right. I think that is going to do it for today. I don't have too much else to say other than, we'll be back on Friday. We might even just go through some of the medium-term timeframes between the daily and the weekly here. So we've got the 2-day, 3-day, 4-day, 5-day, and weekly, and just kind of check up on where things are. But yeah, this is the time to enjoy the vibes, as they say. Enjoy the gains. Don't get too stressed out with some of the other coins that are dropping in other markets and ecosystems. Look, it's Bitcoin's time to play right now, and we're going to see liquidity rotate around. So just be cognizant of identifying what you feel are the strong conviction plays that might have dropped into key levels. And, have a plan for possibly taking advantage of any of those drops as Bitcoin. People are often surprised. Bitcoin going up, and yet my coin is going down. And, especially some of the memes lately, like, look, wait for them to get to some key areas, identify the ones that you like and you have conviction in, and make a plan for taking advantage of this stuff. Not saying that right now is that time period to take advantage of that stuff. You have to be the judge of that for yourself, as we're just looking at Bitcoin. But I would like to wish you a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening, no matter where you are in the world. Please trade safe. And of course, as always, stay safe. With all of that being said, I'll talk to you on Friday, and Landy out.